She is from Shreveport, Louisiana. Over 30 years in the industry, worked on films like Respect, Emancipation, and The Color Purple. Please welcome this legend to the show, Mona Bowman. Thank you so much, Mona. This is an exciting moment for me because I just love everything that you've been doing over the years. Congratulations on all of the just accolades and everything that you have received. And I'm just so honored for you to come to the show today.
It's an honor to be here on the show. Thank you for asking and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Tell the people how you got started in the industry and everything.
It was so crazy. It's long, but I'm gonna keep it short. Like you said, I'm from Shreveport, and when Hurricane Katrina hit South Louisiana, we were the first Hollywood South. So the tax incentive they didn't want to get rid of course. So they pushed everything up to North Louisiana, and I ended up being able to be a part of a few shows based off the fact that I met a guy, which was one of the legends, Mr. Ken Walker. Rest in peace. He's going on now.
I remember Mr. Ken.
Yeah, Mr. Ken was my gatekeeper.
Wow.
And he was in Shreveport doing Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins. And my pastor's sister-in-law was an extra and invited him over to my pastor's house to eat Easter dinner.
Wow.
And he was sitting there talking to my pastor, and he told my pastor, he was like, yeah, I got a couple more shows coming, and I need some good local people. You know anybody? He said, man, my pastor said, yeah, I know somebody, my church member. She the baddest one in the city. She do everybody hair.
Right.
You want to meet her? She'll be over here. But he didn't know, my pastor didn't know I wasn't coming initially. Because I was tired. We had went to sunrise service, girl, 8 o'clock service, girl, 10 o'clock. I was like, I'm going to go home o'clock.
Yeah.
And I was like, But his wife called me, and when she called me, she was like, yeah, pastor wants you to come by. And I'm saying to myself, I ain't going. And I hung up the phone, and I was like, I ain't going. And my son said, Mama, aren't you the one to talk about opportunities? They want you to meet this man.
Wow.
And you know what you say. And I'm the mama that practiced what she preached. So I end up going on over there and end up talking to Mr. Ken for 15 minutes. And he stopped and he said, you know, sometimes you can just tell you the one. He said, you the one. And he said, I'm going to give you a chance of a lifetime. And 16 years later,
my God,
here I am in the industry.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing because I never knew that you knew Mr. Ken.
Yes.
And
that's
Mr. Ken, I met him on P-Valley season 1. And that was when he was kind of sick.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, and I don't want to get too emotional, but I'll never forget when it was time for him to leave. He looked at me in my face. He gave me all his tools. And he looked at me and he said, it's something about you. He said, you're going somewhere. He said, you're going places.
Look, I got chills, baby. I know you ain't lying.
And I looked at him. He said, don't ever stop. And
he was a great person. He was one of those.
Yeah, and he left, and I never saw him again. And 2 months later, he was gone.
Yep. Because he was here in Atlanta. Yep.
Yeah, he was here. And so I'm just so glad to know that you knew him as well.
Yes, he was the one that got me started, and the show that he hired me for was The Great Debater.
Wow. Oh, I love that. I love that.
I even started in period. Like
you started in period.
Started in period.
That's why I said Mona love period.
And that's how I started. And before that, I had never done it.
Wow.
But I've always been a very detailed person where if I see a picture, I can mimic it.
If y'all want to learn period, I'm telling you, this is the one right here. If y'all want to learn period, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, this is the one.
Yes, he was my gatekeeper, and it just went from one extreme to the next. And working on The Great Debaters, the makeup artist was on 798, Mr. Oh God, what's the man name? Mr. Carl and Matiki. They were on 798 board, and they fought for us to get in the union, and that's how I got in the union on that show as well.
Show.
It was just a whole life-changing experience from that one
encounter with Mr. Ken.
Yes. And I almost missed it because I almost, but the Lord knew.
Yeah, he knew. You
to have my son in that car.
You wasn't gonna miss it.
Because baby, when my son looked at me, he said, "Mama, ain't you the one that talk about opportunities?" And I said, "God, dog, now I got to. Because if I don't now, because he was 14 then, and if I would have not went and followed through, he would have threw that in my face for the rest of his life. But look at it, how it changed my life.
God has changed your life.
Amazing.
He is totally amazing. I'm looking at miracles all around me every day.
Amen. Sister.
So I'm just so so grateful. But tell me some of the wonderful like films that you have worked on so far, and the experiences that you experienced with the actors and just people in general so far.
I can honestly say I've been doing this 16 years, and I have had way more great experiences than the few.
Yeah.
I haven't had to chop a few heads too. I ain't gonna even sit there and pretend like you had to cut some folks.
Yeah, I know.
But I can say, like, I just finished the piano lesson. That'll be out in 2024.
Congratulations on that. Yeah.
And Danielle is the lead in that one. Danielle Deadweiler, and I met her on Watchmen when I did Watchmen, and it was like a family reunion because me, her, and Lawrence was able to all get back and collab together. Then The Color Purple, you know, being a Fantasia fan.
Yes.
I remember the first day Fantasia walked in there, I was having a whole moment. It ain't too many people that make me say,
me too.
And she came and I was like, I said, I'm trying to keep it professional. How you doing? And I said, let me just break the ice, Tasia. I said, I'm a real fan. I said, so if you catch me looking at you, just know I'm just saying, oh, Fantasia, sit right there.
Yes.
And Danielle, what's my baby other name? Danielle Brooks, meeting her, and we had just worked with Corey and a few more, and I got a chance to do her and do her hair because she's in it, being Squeak. And little Halle Bailey, and
oh wow,
it was such a great. That one was so great because of all the moving parts.
Yes,
we went from late 1800s all the way up into 1930s. Yeah. Oh yeah, it was definitely an African American period, and it was so good. Yeah, but it was a lot of work.
That's a lot of work
because we averaged between 20 to 45 dancers a day.
Yes,
for approximately 4.5 months.
Yeah,
it was a lot. Yeah, but it was so worth it, and I can't wait till y'all get to see it. Even the costumes, everything when it came together, and the director. Oh my God, Blitz is like, just understand, Blitz is the man.
Yes,
I want y'all to get ready for Blitz.
I can't wait to see it.
He has a vision. And, you know, he worked on Beyonce's Black is King. He was one of the directors on it as well. And just to see that, and then to see how he came and incorporate, I can see how he think and his vision, his color schemes, and how he operated the stuff that he requested. And he was very hands-on. He would come to the trailer and be like, hey, you guys, he's such a nice dude. Yeah. Hey, you guys, but this is what I need. I need this, and this color got to be here. And he strategically placed like the dancers in certain, the heights, the color, even of skin tones and everything.
That's excellent.
When I tell y'all going, wow. It's going to make, because a lot of people are upset thinking, oh, we redid the movie, but it's not. It's a musical movie.
Yeah, it's a musical.
And so just to even see, because Taraji going to kill it. Y'all
oh my God, I'm not ready for Taraji. I'm not ready for Taraji.
Can't wait till y'all to see Tasia dig deep and come and bring Celie to life, and to see Taraji. Those two characters, not saying knocking for nobody else.
No, but
just
they are
those
some phenomenal women.
Those two, to me, especially watching it actually come to life, I can see how they played off each other and dug deep in the woman, you know, being a black woman and knowing the story, how, you know, she was broken and all. It's beautiful.
Just the original movie in general was emotional, so I can't even imagine how this is going to be.
We had some great days, and it was some tough ones, but we had some great days. And I would say Emancipation was a great one, but it was one of the hardest I had ever did in my life.
Wow.
We averaged between 150 to 300 background. That's just background. I ain't even talking about the stunt soldiers. We averaged with them, I would say daily 25 to 45 of those, plus the main act. Woo! That was a doozy. And trying to, you know, recreate that 1800s, and a lot of times people think just because it's slave.
Yeah.
But we were dealing with post-COVID. Still have to wear the mask, but people were letting their hair grow out. So being in period, you have to be able to create these authentic looks, especially for me. I'm a stickler, and you know, slaves didn't have the nutrition. So they wouldn't have the long hair. That's why if you look at the photos, you don't see
don't see a lot of long hair
because of the nutrition.
Wow.
They were feeding those people the worst of the worst of all things. So here come these young men that been at home and getting haircuts with all this massive hair. And God gave me a trick to be able to make the hair so when you watch it, you don't even see it. It's a pinning technique that I developed that will take hair this long
and make
it this long, and then we disheveled it.
Yes.
And a lot of people didn't know. Even I had to lay hair. I had to teach a lot of the young girls down there how to lay and make edges and stuff like that, because someone was coming in with this Steve Harvest, and I'm like, no, baby, you're playing a slave. I'm sorry,
we can't have
a Steve Harvey, and you can't have a taper fade. Right. So we're gonna have to either put a hat and then still put you some hair. Yeah. And then that was another challenge because of the heat. We had 120-degree days.
Where was y'all? In Savannah, right?
No, baby. We was in New Orleans.
Oh, no, ma'am.
And we shot the actual battle part in a place called Bush, Louisiana. I had never been to Bush. And they had a field that was probably 10 miles long. That was the actual battle scene that and we would have to walk and go. I used to have people set up in spots so we can just bum rush, reset, and get back out, bum rush, reset. We were in the thick like we were in a war. That whole war battle scene, I felt like we warred, like it was a lot. And then trying to make sure that the hair stayed on, had to make a lot of clips and different stuff and pinning techniques because people were sweating. Yeah. We had background, these some of the actors. Boop. There we go. They would have to set up tents and have like medics and all type of stuff because it was hot. I got sunburned so bad. That was the worst sunburn I had ever had in my life. It burned all the way.
Oh my God.
And I didn't think my skin complexion would ever come back, but it did.
Thank God.
But it was one of the hardest. But knowing the background, being from Louisiana, and knowing that this actual guy was from Louisiana, and to think that the thick of all that rush and swamps and all that running, malnourished, all this stuff, and Will played it to life. Oh my God, he embodied that.
Did he get an award for that yet?
No.
Yeah, he needs an Oscar for that one because I heard it was just one of the best movies ever.
He literally spoke that language. He learned all of that, and he really turned into
into the character.
Peter. Yeah, and Peter was and this guy lived, and we ended up after one of the hurricanes came and destroyed everything. We literally was like a month and a half into shooting and had to shut down for 2 months. Because Hurricane, I think Isaac or somebody came through. We literally was on set, had to evacuate the next day and shut down. And by the time we came back, New Orleans got totaled and had to regroup. So we ended up having to push to Baton Rouge. And that was a Chapelaya area is where Peter had ran from. So we had to drive through going back to that area. And they actually have a small museum that talks about Peter. And I was like, we could be, and he ran on the Mississippi River and all that. And we shot off the Mississippi. And I was like, God, this is amazing.
It's just amazing.
We could actually be in these footsteps of these guys that actually fought.
Actually doing, just walking in the footsteps of those people.
So it was such a spiritual journey on that one. And we went to a few plantations, and one shot. And that was at the end of the movie, and the director was giving directions to the background, and he was playing "Let Your Glory Fill Display." And I remember Jorge was there with me, and I said, Jorge, I don't know if the director know he playing the Usher In song. I said, but man, this is a great song to really get people in, because we were actually on the ground, so the blood is on the ground. Yes, you could feel it.
Yeah, oh yeah, you could feel it in different cities.
Like
in different
when
parts.
We drove to that, I was like, Jorge was like, Mommy, they're here. I said, I know. I said, I know. So they made 4 replicas of the real ones, so they can be able to take the walls down.
Yeah.
And the rec said, are you guys ready? And they was like, yeah. And he was telling, this is the time that you finally find out that you're free. And a lot of people didn't even know what that meant, because they never even heard of that. Wow. They never even imagined.
Oh my
and when he was saying that, I'm just boohooing. We all over there just boohooing, because I'm just like, I never thought of that.
That's
you don't even know what free is.
You don't even know what it is. You don't even know what it means.
And he said, y'all ready? Action. As soon as he said action, a big burst of wind came across all of us. And all of a sudden, baby, everybody was shouting. They was crying, giving God glory. I'm talking about it. Look, I got chills. It was one of the most, and we all just boohoo. It was just overwhelming.
Yes.
And he caught it all on tape.
Oh my God.
And they said cut, and we still was going.
Y'all still was going. Gone. In the spirit by the end.
And yes, and it was I would never forget that. That was be the highlight of my career, experiencing that moment of recreating and feeling our ancestors really speak and say, yeah, y'all are free, and y'all here doing this, telling a story about us. And even though I know a lot of people don't like to really talk about slavery or whatever, but it's a part of our history. And for this guy that fought, that went against the grain and actually followed how he felt, because he's known for that beating on his back. And they read through his because he was able to document it when they took the picture. And he told them that when he got beat like that, he felt like he died. And he said he went and God spoke to him and told him when he come back to run. And that's what gave him the strength to run. Because like I said, malnourished, you're not getting nothing. He had just got his life almost beat out of him. Just imagine your back keloiding that much with no anesthesia, no medicine, no nothing. You got to lay on your back. And the actual guy that owned him fired the slave guy that beat him like that, because he was like, man, this is brutal. It was one of the most aggressive beatings ever. And for you to get that much courage to just say, okay, I'm out, and run, and then ran so many miles to get to a camp where it would change your life and make history. Still to this day, we're talking about this man, and that was in 1857, and his life is still mattering. So anytime even you Google slave and go through the pictures, with Peter gonna pop up. And that's what made me, even before I got the film, I had been reached, because like she said, I do a lot of period stuff. So I had already seen him from doing other movies, because I did the TV show Underground on WGN, and that was like my first encounter with like dealing with slavery at its peak. And we went into these different museums to research and all that, and I was just like, wow, because I didn't even know 12 Years a Slave was an actual guy's book that he wrote. This actually happened to him. I didn't know that. I just heard of it. But it was an actual guy that was a free man that got snatched into slavery, and they took his life. And then he went through that whole thing, and he was able to get out of slavery, and he wrote that book. And it never left me. Like, I've always knew about Peter. I always just kind of researched. And then during COVID, seeing that Apple had picked it up and said they was going to do it. And I was like, what? And then I seen Will Smith going to play. I said, oh, I know it. Then they said Antoine Fuqua going to direct. I said, oh, look, bro. I said, God, I don't mean no harm. I said, but
you gotta get me on this thing.
If it ain't me, please the right person. I said, because I want this man's story told, and I want it told correctly. I didn't want to see no goofy
looking wigs,
stupid wigs. I wanted to clown type wigs. Exactly. I wanted you, when you watched it, it was seamless. And didn't know that one of the producers that I know, Todd Black, love Mr. Todd, was connected to it, and he put my name in for it, and they ended up blessing me. I remember getting the phone call because I was on Women of the Movement, which was Emmett Till's story, of the TV show that was on ABC. And I prayed for that one too. I prayed for that one first. Then that one came, and then I prayed for Woman King. But I got called, but I couldn't do it because of the hurricane. And I couldn't go. My feelings was hurt, but I sure wanted it. But they did a great job. But it was like those stories were like passionate, because each one of those stories were things that I had already researched about these real people. Because Mamie and Emmett's story had never been told. And I would definitely wanted that story coming from Louisiana. That's a story that your grandmother tell you when you're young. Don't be out past dark. You come in this way, because you know these people are this. Because my grandmother was raised in a city called Grand Cane, Louisiana, and she was a sharecropper, so she picked cotton and all that as well. But the things that she told me and shared with me, girl, I see why they told the stories. Because it happened, things happen.
And you see also why some of the stories were never told, because a lot of our elders never really, they told you a little bit, but they didn't tell you everything. All of the background stuff that happens, like the weather conditions, everything, being on set for 19 hours, all of that stuff. And they see the beauty and everything from afar, but they don't understand what really goes on behind the scenes. Can you talk about that for a little bit?
Yes, I can, because it's a lot to talk about. Because a lot, like she said, a lot of times they see us as, the red carpet. You get to go and you talk to the actors. You get to, no, baby. If it's done in snow, you in the snow.
Mhm.
If you done in the rain, you in the rain.
Talk about some of the things in your career, like some of the lessons that you've learned in your career so far, that you can actually tell them, you know, so that they can learn as they're coming up in the industry as well.
The biggest lesson I feel like I've learned is just being prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I do a lot of period stuff. So I was introduced into this industry through period, and luckily, just my mom being a school teacher,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to come up with a whole concept
Mm-hmm.
of things, because our phones now is our new best friend. So that's why I don't give nobody no slack.
Yeah.
You got a walking computer in your hand.
Yes.
So no excuses. You come with an excuse, baby, no, you're not working with me no more.
Right.
But back then, that was in 2007. You didn't get all those pictures and stuff on your phone.
Right.
You got to pay $500,000.
Yes.
So I literally had to go, because when Mr. Ken said, "Oh yeah, it's a period film," I'm like, "What is period? What that mean?"
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was like, "Huh, baby?" You know how sweet he talks.
Yeah.
"Huh, baby?"
Yes.
I said, "I don't know what that means." And he said, "Yeah, it's in 1930. I said, "Oh, time period.
Yes.
That's what that means."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Have you ever done?" I said, "No, sir." I said, "But if you give me a picture, I can
That's
do
it.
So he showed me some of the research that they did. So when I left the trailer that day, I went straight to the library.
Yes.
And I actually looked up books.
Yes.
Took scan,
Yes.
and made me a hair Bible.
Okay.
And I said, if I can do this look, because watching, and I always had a love for film. My first love was being an actress.
Yes.
That's why I do it a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
When I get called, get a little opportunity, I do it. But that was my first love. I've always been fascinated with TV and film. So being a watcher of TV and film, I always would watch even the background to the T. So I knew you had to have a variation. So I said, if I can get one hairstyle that's in this time period and then do variations of it,
yes,
then I would have that look.
Right, right.
Nobody told me that. You know what I'm saying? Because Mr. Ken act like he's just like, go ahead, baby. And I was like, I remember my first day going on set. I didn't even know any of the lingo. I had never been on set.
No, me either.
And when I said go to set, them like, and do what? And he said, cover the actor. Like, cover them with a blanket? Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that entitle?
Yeah.
And it entails, and I was like, oh God. And I remember Denzel was directing, and I knew Denzel was in it, but I didn't know he was directing.
Yeah.
And you always hear the director.
Oh, Denzel was directing?
Yes. And I was like, oh God, he's directing too, so I didn't get fired. I don't know nothing. I kept freaking out. But it was so intense that day, and I remember praying. I was like, okay, God, if this is for me, you're going to have to give me what I need.
Yes.
Or I'm finna get my keys and going back to this good beauty shop.
Yeah.
Because I'm good.
Yeah.
I got this on lock.
Right.
I've been doing this 20-something years. I'm good.
Exactly.
And I didn't even ask for it.
Right.
So you giving me this, but I ain't getting no instruction. I'm feeling like I'm left out.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at my keys and looking at my bag, looking at my keys and looked at my bag, and I was like, God, this is once in a lifetime. I'm just gonna have to either get it, I'm gonna sink or swim.
Yes.
I grabbed my bag, and the lady in the van, she was like, you want to go to set? I was like, no, I'm gonna walk. And I've been walking and crying like, Lord, please, Jesus. Lord, please.
Yes.
I just don't want to be embarrassed. Please don't let this man cuss me out or something or do something wrong.
Yeah.
And I remember getting into set, and I was covering Forrest, and he was just going through his little sides, and he looked up. I'm peeking, because they tell you don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
So I'm just like this.
Right.
And he said, come here, sweetie. And I came over, and he said, this your first time? I said, yes, sir. I said, how do you know? He said, oh, I can tell. I said, I don't even know what they're saying. And so he started talking. And as he was talking, it was like a hot air balloon with a little pin, like all the pressure.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And by the time he finished, and I still to this day don't remember what he said.
Wow.
Because all I kept saying is like, this vet of an actor is pouring into me. And I kept blinking like, I'm seriously
sitting here with this person.
To Forrest Whitaker, and he's sharing his gift with me to calm my nerves. And I'm just like, and then he said, you got it? And I said, yes, sir. And I'm saying to myself, Lord, I don't know what he said. But I remember he said last looks. And I remember he said action.
Wow.
And as soon as he finished, Denzel said last looks. And he looked at me, he winked. And I said, okay. He said, that's me, go in there and check them.
Yeah.
And when I went in, because the little girl, because I'm coming from a salon world.
Yes.
And that's the thing y'all have to understand. Making characters and salon is not the same.
Not the
Because
same.
in a salon, you have to make people perfect.
But when you're developing a character or make a character, you have to make it fit the time period, the look, financially. You have to make all these different detailed things about this particular person's look. And Denzel was like, who did this little girl? I said, I did. He was like, she's too perfect. Her dad only made $3. It was 1932.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't look as good. She would have frizzies and this and this and that. She wouldn't have these beautiful girls. Babe, I snatched. I had a snatch.
You had her done.
Curl, but I had the right type. I had the figure 8 curls.
Yes.
I knew that was period.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the backstory.
Right.
I didn't have no script. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, I took that water, put that curl up, and he looked at me. He said, oh, she's perfect.
Yes.
That's wrong.
Yes.
And Forrest looked at me. He said, and I never forgot that. And I always told that story for years. And I said, Lord, if I ever, because Forrest only shot 3 weeks and then he was gone before I could even tell him.
Oh, wow.
Full circle, ran back into him on respect, and I was able to share.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
So I was just like, Lord, if I hope I'll be able to work with Forrest again.
God always brings it right back around.
Always brings it back. Yes. But yeah, that's one of the biggest lessons I learned, is just making sure that you do the research and follow instructions.
Yes.
And if you do that, coming from just starting, even being in it to you stop, the biggest thing is following instructions and following in your development, your research.
Yes. Any final words you would like to say to the audience before we say goodbye?
Those young women and men that are inspiring to be into TV and film doing hair design, I would say, even before you just pursue it in physical form, start your research, start your developing your techniques, learn how to actually buy books, Amazon is good, eBay, all those different places, get time periods, because every film, if you watch film on a regular basis, you see you either go to the future or it's definitely going to go to the past.
Yeah.
So learning those different types of techniques and stuff and putting it in your hand now, so when God gives you the opportunity to be able to meet somebody like me or Arlene or our past cross, you will have that in your arsenal, and you'll be a lot stronger and be able to follow through and to be able to develop and be successful in this business.
Yes. Yes. Do you have any upcoming classes coming up or anything you can tell us about?
Yes. I do have another master class that'll be coming up on October 12th. It's going to be about brush waves and finger wave wet setting.
Oh yes.
It'll be an actual in-person class in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know how far some of you guys are, but I do offer virtual classes. You can find me on Mona B Productions on Instagram, or Andrea Mona B on Instagram, or Andrea Mona Bowman on Facebook, and I can give out any more information if you're interested. Because I love to try to teach and try to help those, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth the journey.
It's worth it. Yes. It's worth it. Thank you so much, Mona, for coming by. I so appreciate you. It's been an honor to have you here.
Thank you
See
so
y'all
much.
next time.